I remember like in a football game, when it's really tense and like we're on defense, so I'm like on the sideline. I was standing next to him and I just start doing the bit and I'm like, don't go breaking my heart. And he just yells at me. He was like, not now.
Welcome back to the Swayside Connection podcast. On today's episode, who do we have here with us today?
Chip Wade.
Chip Wade. What's up, Chip? What are you sipping on over there?
I'm on my own little not drinking journey, so I'm drinking the Deschutes NA. So it's good. I know, like Brianne was saying, she loves IPAs, and so do I. But I'm trying to take a break and accomplish some like fitness goals and health goals. So this is something that kind of tastes like an IPA, and the further I get away from it, the real thing, the better this tastes little by little. So it's a good one. If you're looking for a good NAIPA, the Deschutes fresh squeeze, maybe hard to get on the East Coast, but around here they're easy to get.
Nice. And it's 0% alcohol.
Yeah, nothing. Just what's crazy is the box looks like the full alcohol, so I bet people grabbed this one by accident and one.
Nice. And then how long has it been? When's the last time since you've been on this journey?
This year, because I was training for a half marathon and I had some goals with that. So it's just I've never gone more than like a month or two. And I wasn't drinking a lot. It was just often. So I wanted to see how much better I could feel and sleep.
So it's been a couple months or like since January 1st? Dude, that's hella.
I know.
That's better
like,
than.
I'm shocked. I've lost weight and I sleep better. Like, yeah, no kidding. I shouldn't be shocked by the benefits of taking a break.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good.
My wife, she's been sober for over 5 years now, and her journey was impressive, and I'm always so proud of her. I was like, it's 3.5 months, and she's like, man, I'm so proud of you. And I just feel really, really good, and it helps me get out and exercise.
What's the longest you've gone? Is this the longest you've gone? Have you gone more than 3.5 months?
Maybe like 3. So we're getting there. I want to go the whole year, at least see if I can go a year.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem. Just say no. But I love IPAs and I love like whiskey Cokes a little too much.
And, it's also like the season where, it's starting to warm up back there in Washington and like barbecue. It gets dark late. Barbecues, it's like barbecue season, camping season.
There's games, Saturday.
Yes, exactly.
Any reason. There's always a reason. And you say like, I'm only going to do it on special occasions. Well, like Saturday's a special occasion. I don't have to work.
Yeah.
I always give myself the out. So I'm practicing a little bit of self-control for like the first time.
No, hey, I commend you. And it's that's why I give people props that have started things like that, and even Nalder with him giving up the weed for like he's going on like his 3rd month now. So yeah, man, we're getting older, so hey, no, there's no shame in like trying to make to have health goals and things like that, because our bodies, it's funny, as you get into your 40s, mortality is like a thing, and it's like you're reminded of it every day you wake up, and you get all these little aches and pains, and some of it could be self-induced with things that you're taking or doing. So no, that's dope.
I think it's funny, after 20 years of drinking a lot, you go to the doctor and you get your blood work and they're like, it's all good. You're like, really? I'm good? Like, you're just surprised that you're healthy. It's like, because I've been really getting after it, but it's good. Like, I feel great. I sleep way better.
Yeah.
Like, I actually I'm sticking to it, like exercising. It's just.
Yeah. What's that look like? When you mean sticking to it, what's that like? Is it versus what you did before?
I'm always a start and stop. Like, I'm going to get in the gym and I go and then I stop. And then I'm going to run and then I stop. And then I'm going to ride my bike and I stop. So I have a lack of drive and commitment problem. And it comes out in weird ways, and like fitness and exercise or like reading or like anything. Like, I'll start and then I'll stop. And I'm trying to, I realize that's a habit, not like a trait. And I'm working on being better about all of those things. So I'm reading more, exercising more, I'm running more, I'm eating healthier. The reason I don't do it is because I stop. I just like fight the urge to stop and just keep doing it, and you see the benefits, of course, like with everything.
Yeah, I think that's just human.
I
That's
know.
part of the I mean, all the things that we get to enjoy today as a society leads us to that point where you stop because you don't have to. Like, I think throughout history, we had to do a lot of these things to stay alive, but like, as technology and like, as comfort as we get older, there's all these things that it's just easier to not do the things that you kind of want to do in your head. So, no, man, it's a battle. I've seen this quote. It's funny he's talking about reading because I just saw this quote where like before you can, I forgot who wrote this one, but like somebody said, before you can even try to conquer the world, you have to conquer yourself. And that's basically like all those things that you brought up. And, I go through it too. You got to conquer yourself. You got to like the things that you want to do, you got to do them. And like, we let ourselves off the hook all the time because it's just we enjoy comfort, we enjoy immediate gratification, we enjoy, and because a lot of these things that you're doing benefit for the long run, but right
Yeah.
now it sucks to do them, right? It sucks to work out, right? So before this whole journey started out, like how often were you working out, and how much more are you working out now? Is it like a couple times a week, every day, once a
Now it's
week?
like a couple times a week, and that's running or just going to the gym. And even just going to the gym and stretching, just get out of the house. Like do
Yeah,
something. After school and after the Marines, it was always like softball or flag football. Like I kept that going for a long time, but then my brain couldn't not go fast. So
yeah, I
I
know what
I
that's like.
I would react and I'd like tweak something, or I'd like try to go full speed and I'd pull something. It was just like I need to stop because my
The
brain
last two
can't. Yeah,
Dude,
my brain
I'm
can't
just like
stop
you.
going full speed.
I'm just like you. The last two times I've played softball, I was not able to finish either of those seasons and it's just running the bases so this is funny, just like with me and Chip, man, like all throughout junior high, I used to always. So it's funny because I'll even go back to elementary. In elementary school, I used to race James Jackson after recess back to our classroom every day, and like I would smoke James every day, and then I would race you in junior high, and then I felt like I could kind of keep up maybe a little bit in seventh grade, but then there was in during that time period in junior high, you definitely were just way faster than me. Because I do
Yeah,
definitely remember trying to race you a lot in junior high, and like, dude, you would smoke me a lot. So
I think I just got tall and fast before everyone else.
I mean that's part of it, but still. So since we're talking about elementary and junior high, let's like where were you born? Elementary school, and then like when did you come to Spanaway?
I was born in Capitol Hill, Swedish, in Seattle. Dad was in the Army, Rear Army. My mom was an Army nurse. Mom and dad are Army. And my older brothers, they were in the military too, Marines and Air Force and then Marines. So my entire family was military, which not a lot of people could say. And that's always been like a badge of honor and like a really cool thing around like
Yeah.
Veterans Day. But like, even my mom was in the Army. So we moved around the world. I don't remember it, but when I was a baby, we were in Germany. Can't remember where. I was too little. Then we moved to Georgia, Okinawa, and then I came to Spanaway fifth grade. So 1990, went to Evergreen with you and a lot of
Yep.
our lifelong friends. I was in Miss Buster's fifth grade class. I think you were in that.
Fifth grade. No,
Maybe
I had Miss
Cazador.
Bierick. I don't know if you remember
Okay.
her. Miss
Yeah,
Bierick
yeah,
was
yeah.
her name.
But
Yeah.
so I moved to Spanaway and 18th Avenue right by you. My neighbor across the street, my first friend ever in Spanaway, Joel Martinez. When we moved there, our house was kind of ghetto. We had a basketball hoop with no backboard. So we were just playing basketball with this flat soccer ball with no backboard and no net. It was just a hoop. And I remember Joel yelling over, like, you want to be friends? And I was like, yeah. And fifth grade Miss Buster's class, I love this story because I sit down and the kid next to me is Rob Erchar. And he looks at me and he was just so, like, he was so cool right away. He just said, what up? I'm Rob. And he had, hello, my name is Rob, like the sticker on his hand. And I was like, hey, Rob. I was just like, man. I need to be like him. Like I just like how funny he was. Like immediately, I just thought I was like 10-year-old kid and he's this funny. I just gravitated to Rob a lot. But
That's
that was
dope.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and then just span away ever since. My parents moved from like 16th to 10th to 22nd. Like they moved 2 times and never left the same like cross street. So, but I
All
was
all off of 168, I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it
Yeah.
was just real close.
And then how much older are your brothers again?
So my brothers are Chad and Chet and Chip. My mom had everything to do with that, and it was so funny. Chad is he just turned 50, 48, 47, 48. We were always, as one was leaving high school or junior high, the next one was coming in. So we were never in school together. So yeah, like when Chad graduated, Chet came in, and when Chet graduated, I came in. And then I remember like Coach Baker being like, "Did your parents have any more kids?" And I was like, "No, sorry, I'm the last one," because he wanted another like fast Wade kid, kind of like Derek Rawls and his brothers, like
Yeah.
one of like two families of just really fast kids that and the Dwyers that like cycled through Spanaway around the same.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So Dad was 92,
Yeah, Chet 95 and then us 98.
Chet 95, and then us. Yeah.
So, but
That's
yeah, military kids like I Terrence talking about it. Like I moved to Spanaway when I was in 5th grade, so I got to meet like my lifelong friends from 5th grade up to now. Like
yeah.
we're very fortunate to have friends that we've known since like elementary school. Because like my wife
Yeah.
doesn't have that. My older brother, I feel bad for him. It worked out to where when we moved from Okinawa,
He would have been a sophomore.
Spanaway Lake as a junior. He didn't have time to make
Junior.
yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't have time to make friends. Like he was art like Tanisha's getting pulled out of high school to move
Yeah.
away. Like I have all these friends. So like Chad became really good friends with Chuck De La Torre, who's Lydia's older brother.
Older. Yeah.
Chad married Lydia's older sister, Liz. So
Wow.
I have that connection for the rest of my life of
Yeah.
like their family, which is really cool. But yeah, it was always one kid leaving and one kid behind, and then I was the last one.
And they ran track too?
Chet did. It was fun to watch him. He had like really long hair and his hair was just like flowing in the wind. Like it was just I think because that helped like people were really cool with me when we came into sophomores because they're like, "Oh, you're Chet's brother, you know, and you're this tall, fast white kid." So I got treated a lot better than like a lot of other sophomores.
Yeah.
It seemed like I don't remember
Plus,
getting
you
picked
played
on.
football too, so I think that's also the other cheat code too. Is that because I really felt that as a sophomore coming in, because I remember not having as much anxiety going into sophomore year, starting high school out, than I did in 7th grade. I had hella anxiety going from elementary to junior high, but I remember having none of that just because, man, we had already been at school for 2 weeks, with just doing football practice every day for 2 weeks, and then like school starting was kind of like a break. I was like, damn, it feels good to not have to like, run 2-a-days again, during, school. So I just remember, and then I remember just like, oh, damn, all the seniors that play football are like kind of the coolest people in school. And like, we know them, even though like, so I just felt like, oh, like, I just felt like as a sophomore, it was definitely like, for me, it just felt like a cheat code kind of knowing those like cooler upperclassmen. And while we were, even though we were just still sophomores. So what did you do any extracurriculars in before high school, like elementary, junior high, things outside of school?
No, not really. I went choir with you because it was fun and it was an easy A, you know.
Yeah. And we got a trip. We got the other reason was trips. Like that's the other I felt like that was fun with choir is like, dude, we get to go on a trip at least once a year. So it's like
I think that's the only time in my life I've worn a silk shirt. I will never. It's a good thing everyone else is wearing this because I will never wear anything like this again.
for sure.
But no, like I hear all the other people talking about like church camps and they're really
Yeah.
involved in that. I was just playing football or video games or working at McDonald's. You know, I really didn't have like my parents. We didn't really go on vacation like Ocean Shores or Leavenworth every other
Yeah.
year. I was just playing basketball, playing football. You think I'd be so sick of football and playing it every day at school and playing on the weekends and at someone's house on the side? But it was just, I was always active. I was never in the house other than to play video games, really. And we were at the
Yeah.
school doing something or somebody's house playing basketball or in the street playing football. Like, I just love doing that.
Did you do football all 3 years in junior high and track all 3 years in
Yeah.
junior high? Did you? Yeah. And then did you play basketball too?
Same thing in junior high. I don't know what it is, like track, football and track, all 3 years. But then I played baseball in ninth grade. I don't know why, because maybe someone said I couldn't, or I just, I don't know. I was in a weird headspace and everyone was excited for me to run track. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go play baseball. I think I didn't like the track coach was pretty strict. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with this. And Mr. Brave was the baseball coach. So I just thought baseball was really fun. I thought he was really fun. And I think Mr. Wheeler was like the other baseball coach. So that was like two really fun teachers.
Yeah.
And I got to like, I don't know, I didn't want like track to define me. So I went and played baseball, and then same thing in high school. I
Cause
don't
you,
know why. I checked out. So then I went and played soccer with you and like everybody else.
yeah.
But I always think like I should have stuck to track. It was the one thing I was really good at, and I don't like being. I've never been like super competitive. I always just like doing my own thing, and track was my chance to do my own thing. Like
What do you mean?
yes, like track, you unless it's a relay, it's just you. You know, like
True.
it's just me against them. And it's funny because, so like, I remember like a district track meet or a state track meet, like we all just did okay. Like most of us got second. And then Coach Baker was freaking out at the end. And everyone's like, what's he so excited about? And he was like, we won districts. And everyone's like, oh, this is a team thing. You know, like no one, like all these points add up to something. Yeah, this is a team sport. It was just so funny. And a really funny memory I have with track, you and Corey talking about you wanted to be on the track team just long enough to get the pictures.
Yes, that was I think I
And
actually I think the longest I went in track was maybe sophomore year, and even then I think I ran a meet against I think because dude, I was not very fast, and I think I ran like the 100 or 200 against like Curtis, and I remember maybe getting like last place, and then I was
yeah.
just like, dude, I
Oh,
am not fast enough to
you can
be out
compete with
here.
yourself. It's like, but
Looking
something
back,
funny with track.
that you brought up a great point. No, you're right. And like you could be competing with yourself, and you could be like, improving every time, and like and make your own thing, and then you're 1,000% right, and that's why you should do things that are hard, even if you don't feel like you're that good at it. But anyways, no, I think you brought up a great point. But yeah,
But
go ahead.
so you might not remember this, maybe you do, but like the first week of track practice was lunges back and forth and back in the gym, like days and days of lunges. And like at first there'd be 100 people trying out for track,
Yeah,
and then the second day there'd be like 80, and then like 60. And you could always tell who tried out for track because the next day at school they'd be walking like they couldn't, like their hamstrings were just like tight. And you were like, oh, you must have tried out for the track team. But if you stuck with it, those lunges didn't hurt so much, and then you could keep going.
yeah.
Like how many people said they were going to run track, and after like 2 days of lunges are like, I give up.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably one of them that I don't know. I kind of remember being at a few of the practices, but I definitely remember never completing a season on the track team that I can remember. I remember like maybe going halfway through, and I
My
think if
sophomore
there was
year,
it would have
my
been
sophomore,
sophomore year, would have been the
yeah,
longest tenure for me being on the track team that I can remember.
that was that was a really cool year. And like I don't know, like I felt like that was the peak because I like I got to run with Toby Gibson, Ryan Merlette, Freddie Ravenel. That was just like a really fun group. We were really fast. So, like we almost won state in the 4x1. We lost by 1/100th of a second.
1/100th of a second, point 0.1 of a
That's like
second
that's like a nose. I remember it was a photo finish, and I was like, yeah, man, that sucks.
against
And then the next,
Mead.
yeah, and then the
Against
next
Mead.
day in the paper, like the News Tribune, is the Mead relay team, and I was like, oh man, that could have been us. The 4x1 leading up to the final, we had run like the third fastest 4x1 in the whole country. Like that's how fast we were. Like I remember there was just so much excitement, and I was really young, like 10th
Yeah.
grade, and it was just one of those things where like everyone around me is freaking out and I'm not. It was just weird. Like I didn't understand the moment. Like my dad gave me a high five, and he's not that kind of person. Like it was just like, what's going on? And he was like, "That was incredible." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah. I mean, but you're so new. You're just like, this is normal. This is kind of like what we do almost. It's like you're semi delusional as far as the kind of success that you're having
Yeah.
at what you were doing. You didn't understand. I mean, looking back, it's easier to kind of like look at it now, but I think the gravity of what, I mean, you're basically breaking history every time that you guys are kind of going out there, you know? And so,
It
and
was
you're
really
just
cool
like,
because, like, I got to know a bunch of, like, other sprinters from other school, like Terry Tharps, like David Baker and those guys. It was just a cool way to, like, get introduced to people, like, that we saw playing football that were really, really good.
yeah,
And it was like, I wasn't the best at football, but here's my opportunity to like really get to know. And I got to know so many people that we like really like competed hard against in football and thought they were just like next level. And then you got to compete at that level with them. I thought that was really
yeah. So I think that's one of the highlights from my sophomore year is just how, dude, we were almost the fastest in the state. I mean, we pretty kind of much were, but it's just like, dang, 1/100th of a second is such a, and that's like the premier event too, as far as when it comes to track. I feel like 4x1 is
cool.
it's like the home run derby of track events is like, you know, because it
That was
happens so
really
fast.
cool, like and to be a part of it, like, I got to see Toby, who was just a freak. I got to see Brian Merlette, who had reconstructive knee surgery, like,
Yes,
that year in
less than
football.
a year.
I
Yeah,
remember his knee, like, clanking with metal, and then
yeah.
he'd, like, jump out of the long jump pit. Like, they didn't have a long jump pit long enough. Yeah, unbelievable.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then Freddie was like, it was just like, I got to be this sophomore kid doing cool things with seniors.
So what was the order of that relay team?
Toby, Brian, me, and because I was really fast in the turn. I remember Coach Baker saying, like, "You're running like 10.5 seconds in the turn." I don't
Whoa.
know, like one leg longer than the other, something. I was just really fast in the turn. And then Freddie usually finished it off. But I just
Yeah.
remember like we ran a perfect race and then it showed and then we almost did it again. And I remember just having like the second place medal and coming home because my brother like we weren't really competitive, but he was like, "What place did you get?" And I was like, "We got second." And he was like, so it was cool. Like, what a cool moment. And I was too young to really understand what was going on.
Yeah. Second in state in the 4x1. And that's why I try to tell people like like we weren't known for our team sports, but I felt like individual sports like track and like tennis and like where you're the only person out there and you're not really relying, like kind of like you're saying, it's usually just you on your own, like trying to do your best competing against everybody else. So
Yeah. And
no,
I always said I like track, like any personality type, anybody. If you're fast, you're fast. Like,
yeah,
you could be the tallest person, you could be the smallest person, you could be the biggest. Like, it was just cool when it was just a sport that you could do. Same with like cross country or like tennis. Like, it was just you. Yes, it was a team sport, but a lot of it was just you competing against everyone else. And I like that more than like I was worried about like people depending on me or people expecting
yeah.
something. Like I was weird about that. It was like a confidence thing that I lacked.
You brought up the fact that senior year you did not run track, and senior year was so
I did
weird.
though. So
Oh,
I played soccer, and then halfway through soccer, I ran one track meet, and everyone was excited that I came back, and then I went back to soccer. Like, I don't know how the school allowed that. Well, I
you
don't
should
know.
have been able to play both.
I don't know. Like, I went there, and I had a great time, and everyone was excited for me to be back. I remember Jacob Ruffin just losing his mind that I came back, and then I went back to soccer. And the soccer, I didn't even really play. I just like being on the soccer team. Then I felt like soccer practice made me faster than track.
Yeah. Well, our senior year, we were kind of talking this before we pushed record, but there was something like I will say that I am kind of thankful for our senior year, even though like when it came to going to school, I definitely checked out, and I've brought it up many times. I, you know, right when I knew that I got accepted to Dub, I pretty much checked out because I was like, okay, I'm in. I did all the things that I was supposed to do, and like my future, I have a path set. And so now I don't really need to try at all to do anything else. And then what's interesting is that spring, when spring sports started, there I knew I wasn't going to run track, but then it was like a big group of us. Like, so you were in that group, I was in that group, Robert, like Jason, in a way. Like, there was Tim, Tim Armitage, a lot of us that usually don't try out for soccer. We are just like, hey, we're just going to try to play soccer for our last, our
Yeah,
last hurrah at school, because all those guys played different sports. Like, you ran track, Robert and Jason did baseball, and so we're not used to playing soccer. And I had never played soccer. I played when I was in like elementary school, but so it was fun. It
it
was
was
like,
fun, and I think because I had checked out, that's why I did it. I was really close with Rob Rester back then.
yeah,
And I just remember saying he's like he kind of had that like everyone expects me to play soccer. I was like, then come run track and we'll just have fun. And so
yeah,
he did our junior year, and then I returned the favor and went and played soccer. I just remember it was a shock that I wasn't running track. And there was a moment where Coach Baker, my junior year, I didn't like something he had to say, and I just remember thinking like, I'm not running track next year. And it was something
yeah,
stupid I did, but I just
yeah,
didn't like
yeah,
he reacted to it. And I was just like, I don't think I'm running track next year. And I didn't, except at one track meet. I thought that was so funny. Like the school must have been like, whatever. But I thought
yeah. I mean,
that was a really good group of people. We had a lot of fun. We
that
didn't win
first
very much, but we had a good time.
Yeah. Because you brought up kind of like that first couple days of track practice, how we're doing lunges. I vividly remember the first week of soccer. No, we did not kick a soccer ball that first week. We literally just ran. And I remember it was like the first or second day, and we're running like perimeters around the back. And I remember like the first day, I think I fainted, and then and I fainted right by the baseball team too. So like, or just kind of by like our locker room slash in that area. And then I remember running around the second day, and I remember Barbara Green was like, she seen me running around, and then she was like cheering me on, and then she was like, hey, did everybody see Heinz pass out yesterday? And I was just like, damn. I was like, damn, thanks for the words of encouragement, Barb. But yeah, no, that was what I remember. Just, man, I just remember just hurting bad those first couple of soccer practices we had.
Yeah. I like I, I was quite a bit faster from all the change of direction, like exercising we did. Like I remember running track that one time, and I was like, I am in way better shit. Like everyone should run, everyone should do soccer practice to be better at track. Like because we were
At least
running
for
like
the sprinters.
circles backwards. It was just the change of
Yeah.
the constant sprinting. I think that really like made me quit faster.
Yeah, I remember. I forgot what's that drill where we're all running in one line, and then like you got to sprint to the front, and then you're just kind of like, we're like one big ass snake, but whoever's in back has to bust ass to the front. And yeah, I
Yeah.
just remember like all those drills, like, dude, they were all brutal. I just remember just being dog tired after every soccer practice. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to take it easy, like in my head, but then like physically, I'm just like, dude, this is the most. But what made it fun was just like all the characters that were playing soccer that we knew, like you're
We
not
had
really supposed to
too
be
much
playing
fun.
soccer.
Too much fun. And you don't think about it because you're young and not smart. But that soccer coach, that's his job. And his job depends on if like we win. And we didn't care if we won. Like maybe a couple people did. But I
Yeah.
saw that soccer coach at Elysian by the football field, and I told him I was like, hey, can I buy you a beer?
How many years after was this?
Maybe like six, five, six.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He was super cool. He was there for a Sounders game, and I was like, "Do you remember me?" He's like, "Yes." And
Oh,
yeah, because he knew I goofed off. Like I remember him not being happy about me, like just trying to be funny all the time. But we had a beer and we caught up, and I didn't say like my bad, but I was like, I should have taken it a little more seriously. He's like, "Ah, it's okay. Don't worry about it." But
I mean,
I
you
just had
still
so much fun.
you still made the team though, because that was the first year they had cuts for soccer.
Yeah, I don't. It helped being really fast. Like, you're not very good at soccer, but you can chase everyone
You
down
could
and take the ball
fly.
away.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'll go. I can do that. So that's a
Yeah.
benefit of being like the tall, fast kid.
No, for sure. For sure. Man.
But that was fun. Like, I I almost didn't graduate. Like we were talking about this. before of checking out. Like once I signed up for the Marines, I was just finishing school
Yeah.
because I didn't. You got to check in to check out. I never checked into school. I didn't want to be there, and I'm probably the only kid who ever got perfect attendance and almost didn't graduate. Like I was there every day. I just wasn't putting forth any effort. I wasn't paying much attention.
How soon did you sign up for the Marines? Like what
I-
was that?
Like October, right towards the end of fall season. Yeah.
Damn, during football season you had already signed up for the well,
Yeah. So like I was already in a weird headspace, and that put me in a weirder one. I'm just like, let's just wrap this up. I'm ready to be done with school. I didn't really take anything seriously after that. And then something I didn't like about school, and I don't know, it's nobody's fault, but remember how when we'd sign up for classes, it would be like alphabetical, like A through Z. Like you get to pick your classes first. It seemed like me being a W always put me in a weird group of whenever I go to pick a class that I was really excited to take, it was full. So I remember I was like, oh, I'd like to take your class. Oh, sorry, it's full. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll take more weight training, or I guess I'll take another team sport. So one funny thing was I figured out you could just take algebra every time. And I was like, well, I already know algebra. So I'll just take it again. And they were like, okay. So I was in the same algebra class like 2 or 3 times. They're like, you just need 3 math credits. And I was like, okay, I'll just take algebra 3 times. So the teacher's like, you're back again? I was like, yeah, like I already know this. I don't want to work harder. But like somehow by not
it's
trying
actually
and not
kind of
doing,
smart. I think that's actually kind of smart.
well,
So I've
that's like
talked to
my job is to find the easy way, like to automate something or to like, and that's what makes like bad habits, like outside of work. It's like, why work so hard working out when you don't, when you can do, it's just weird. Like my line of work, IT puts me in a weird headspace of just like always finding the easy way out or the easier way to do something.
yeah,
Like, so it's funny. Like,
because easier is a tricky word because other
le-
people call it like
yeah,
optimization, the
the
optimal
path of
way,
least.
path of least resistance, the path with least friction, path with, there's so many ways to kind of put it. But I mean,
That's what I
that's
mean.
kind
Like
of,
I've always had a drive issue. Like I'm so impressed when people have like incredible drive.
I agree.
Like they want to get their masters. They want to like run a marathon. They want to like write a book. Like when someone has drive like that and they can lock in, I'm just blown away because I've
Same,
never had that. Like very
same.
few times. Yeah. So I don't know how you get that, but I'm impressed when people have that and like what they can accomplish.
No,
But yeah,
for
senior
real.
year, this is crazy. So like somehow I got to our last semester and I needed like Mr. Taylor's history class to graduate on time. And I needed like an English class. So I took the English class, government with Mr. Taylor, and then the rest was like weightlifting and team sports. And towards the end of school, like halfway through that semester, Mr. Taylor was like, you're not passing my class. You need to work harder. And I was like, I'll try. They worked it out to where I could take his class, I could trade a weight training class for his class first semester, where I would pay attention to do my homework, or I would do my homework. And then in sixth period, I would listen and pay attention to them. Like, I don't know how that worked out, but they wanted me out of high school so bad that they let me take the same class at the same time, the same
No way.
semester, and I would just sit in the back doing my homework to turn in for sixth period. And then I
Whoa.
got like, yeah, I got like it wasn't a fail, but it wasn't a pass. Like for the first period class. It was so funny. Like I don't know. I think Mr. Taylor just liked me or wanted me gone. But when it came to
Which is funny because that could be both the same thing, right? They want you gone, even though, and kind of like you. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a
maybe
funny
they're
thing.
like, look, you're a good kid. You're gonna
Yeah.
do fine. Just get out of here and go
Yeah.
like figure it out. But when we graduated and then you walked and then you went in the back to get your diploma, do you remember they like slid it out of an envelope? Like when you go back and you get your like binder, I guess, and then you walk around and you actually go get your diploma. Like someone's handing them out in the back.
Kinda.
When I went to go
Yeah.
get my diploma, it was Mr. Taylor standing there with my envelope.
No way.
Yeah, and he looked at me and he opened the envelope and he said, "What do you think? How do you think you did?" And I was just like, 50-50. And I
Oh,
remember it
wow.
was if you graduated, you got a diploma, but if you didn't, you got like a yellow piece of paper that said you needed to go to summer school. And I remember
Dude.
like a golden ticket. he
Don't
slid
be
it out a
yellow.
little bit. Yeah, yeah. Well, he slid it out a little bit, and I saw like certificate of, and I was like, all right, graduated high school on time. But he was really funny. He was like, congratulations, like good luck. Just I remember thinking he was like really strict, but I remember telling my mom like, "Can I have some coffee or something? Like I'm tired." And she's like, "Coffee stunts your growth." Like I'm 6 foot tall in like the sixth grade.
Yeah.
Like I don't think coffee's gonna like mess me up. And then now, like every day before work, like I love that kick. I love coffee. Like it gets me started, and like maybe that could have helped. Maybe not, but I just remember not wanting to be there, being tired, which impacted like my like energy to like learn and like I don't know.
I mean, I will say like the way school is set up isn't set up for everybody. You know, like I feel like we were talking about how we liked video productions because it's such a different class. It doesn't feel like school when you're in there. I mean, you're like especially back then, even though we were using VHS, I felt like we were doing like cutting edge technology, you know, and
Huh. Got to like read from a teleprompter and do the news every day.
yeah,
Make,
exactly.
I got to make like a student store cookie commercial with like these GI Joes I had, and I was making them like roll around this big cookie, and that like played on the student news.
Do you
It
still
was
have
that was
that?
no, maybe
Man,
Mr. Martin if he like kept all this stuff. But
that
we
would
just
be
had like what a
oh
fun
man,
class.
anything from that year is like gold. Like I think if he and he might join the podcast one day. I mean, you know, if everything works out, because that would be amazing. I know for sure that he has our yearbook digitized or he has it saved somewhere. So who knows? Maybe he has extra videos from that time period. Because if he was able to digitize basically all the stuff that he kind of worked on during that time period, I think all that is content gold. I think all that stuff, like it's not just because I see there's TikTok accounts out there that show like old, like 90s high school like stuff. But I just feel like, dude, that's basically kind of like, that's early YouTube. That's basically what people were doing on YouTube was like, even today, people are like, you know, acting and doing skits out, you know, and like, so for somebody in the 90s to like create something like that, like I would love to see what that, you know, as cheesy as we might think it is or bad quality, whatever, like that, like though I think like those pieces just are so I
Yeah,
compare them to gold because it's like you don't get to see that like the creativity of our age group when we were young and
yeah,
just to see some of the things that we were doing back then because I feel like man we're the OGs when it comes to making dumb videos like that's what I
yeah.
mean. It's you know what I mean? And so it's like I
And we
feel
had like our predecessors. I feel like video production was just a bunch of one up and everybody of who can make a funnier like video like to play during lunch, like the Doug Fu. Like the years before us, I was like, that is so funny. And the skits, I just remember like that was funny. We could be funnier, and I wonder how it went on after that, or
yes.
if it continued on. I don't know, but I just remember like trying to be funny and funnier and funnier. Like that was like proof to me that high school could be fun because it wasn't outside of like my friends.
Yeah.
I didn't think high school was that fun, but I took like a couple of sneaky fun classes like marine biology. Like I kind of took that because it was the only thing left when I signed up. And it was actually really fun. Like we went on a whale watching trip and saw killer whales like jumping over the boat and stuff. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Like
That is awesome.
and like Terrence talking about computer classes, that would have helped me in my job now.
Exactly. No, that's what I agree. That's what I mean. I feel like, man, if I wish the district had foresight back then to like, you know, somehow get funding to get more computers in the school and then force everybody to take these computer classes, because I think it would have
Yeah.
definitely helped us, like
Well,
everybody.
for me, it wasn't lack of classes or opportunity. I was in computer classes, but the second the teacher told me, if you type like net send Todd, it'll pop up on his computer like a message. So it was like texting before there was texting.
Yeah.
Well, once I learned that, me and half the kids in the class, we weren't paying attention. We were
Yeah.
just like, what's
Sending
up?
messages.
Yeah. We were just like, well, I'm not learning anything in this class. Just like another form of goofing off with my friend. I took like a computer class with Todd Stewart, and it was during lunch.
Toad.
Toad. I think I came up with the Toad name because I said, your name's really witchy. It's like Toad Stew Wart. It's like they're all witch things. And he's like, oh, okay. And then I think he started going by Toad. I don't know. I think I started it. There's no like proof. But our computer class was, remember how you either had first, second, or third lunch? I think we had first lunch and then we took the class. So we'd go to lunch and then we'd be in class and then we were like, let's get out of here. So the teacher would be like talking and then he'd turn around and like draw on the whiteboard. And when he
Yeah.
turned around, we were gone. So he would be looking at the class and there's the two of us, and then he'd turn around and then he'd turn back and we're gone. Like we just skipped lunch. It's like, I don't know how I passed that class. But a really funny story. It must have been like sophomore or junior year. Remember how the lunchroom was all the way on the other side of the school, and then the gym and the buses were on the very far. So you had to go down
Yep.
that real long hallway.
Yep.
Well, we're all sitting. You might remember this. We're all sitting in the lunchroom, everybody, and someone,
What year is this?
maybe like sophomore or junior year,
Okay.
and we just everyone hears someone yell fight, and then some people booking like down to the basketball court, like
Oh, damn.
that long
Yeah.
hallway. So like everyone wants to see a fight. So everyone in the lunchroom, like just hundreds of kids, they're all running behind this group that yelled fight. And then I remember like kids pouring out of classrooms because they heard like the stampede go by.
Motion. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got hundreds of kids running in the hallway, hundreds of kids busting out of classrooms, also wanting to see what's up, a fight, and then getting to the very end, and it was like Michael Reese and like a few other people. They were just out there laughing because they wanted to see what would happen if they yelled fight, and they ran all the way to the other side of the school, and it was just mayhem, like chaos. So we all get to the end expecting to see a fight, and it's just a group
Nothing.
of people laughing that did it as a joke. And I remember thinking that was so hilarious. Like, I cannot believe
Yeah.
what just happened because a couple people yelled fight and ran like to the other side of the
Social dynamics. OG prank. That's an OG prank right there. You know,
just
like I wish
never.
that could have been recorded. That would have been a great video.
And everyone was laughing. It was probably the funniest thing I ever saw in school. Like, good for you. You're probably going to get in big trouble. But
Yeah.
I was just like, I cannot believe how many people were like running out of their in session classrooms,
Yeah,
joining the
that is.
kids down the middle of the hall. How many, like, people probably remember that? I just thought that was one of the funniest things I ever saw. It just,
Yeah.
everyone had to like calm down and go back to class and like go back in the lunchroom. I was like, good for you. Good job. That's a good one.
Yeah. It would have been man, do you have any other?
It's just
Yeah.
there to play sport.
That's crazy too. The only sport I played was ninth grade. I actually ran track, and because you missed out, because like track was kind of
I
fun
know.
that year.
I
And
forgot the DJ ran, and I think like
yes, DJ ran track. Mr. Wright was one of the coaches. Coach Wright was
I
one of
didn't
our
remember
coaches.
because I thought it was Mr. Winquest, and I don't know if he was still the coach ninth grade year, but
I
another,
don't
yeah, I
know.
should
I
have.
don't
I
know
did,
if he was.
but it was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I should have. I didn't because it would have been fun, and I wasn't very good at baseball, but
because I think we would have been even. Because I think we were pretty good, but I mean, having you, I think it would have been like we would have kind of dominated a lot of. Because like I did triple jump, and like I was like. Because no, it was like one of those events. Not everybody did triple jump. Yeah, that's what was
yeah,
fun about junior high
like
sports is
almost.
like you didn't, yeah, you didn't have everybody really in any of all the events. So like if you just had a person doing that event, whether they were good or not, they were pretty much going to get first, second, or third in almost. So like I remember
I
like
realized
doing
that
triple
later.
jump.
Like that was part of the. Oh, this is a team sport. These points count for something.
Yeah, yeah. But it was like it was just super. It was fun
One of my
for me. That was my
was,
first sport.
do you remember we tried to raise money to get you an ASB card
What
so
was
you could
this?
play sports? Like me, Nathan Seifert, and Ryan and Brian and Carl.
This was in ninth grade,
This would have been like seventh or eighth.
eighth grade.
Like we were
Oh
like, why
yeah,
aren't you playing sports? And you're like, my parents won't buy me an ASB card because you needed that to
yeah,
play
yeah,
sports. So I remember Nathan was like, hey, let's raise money. I think it was like $15.
yeah, yeah,
We couldn't come up with $15 to get you an
yeah.
ASB card, so you didn't play sports with us.
You know, it's funny. I just think it was because Cedar Crest was so far, and I just felt like my parents didn't really want me to take the like. They didn't really understand that there were, and I didn't really understand. Oh, there's like an activity bus, because like hearing people now, like after the fact, right? Everybody that lived close to Cedar Crest used to stay after school all the time, and I was like, man, I never did that, you know, because I didn't play any of the sports. I didn't do any
Yeah.
after school things at Cedar Crest. So it wasn't until like ninth grade where it was just like, and then, you know, a track isn't until like at the end of the year. I was like, oh shit, they have like an activity bus every day that actually brings kids back to like back to where we live. I was just like, dude, I could have been taking this damn activity bus home this whole
Sometimes
time. I didn't realize,
I
you
know
know,
sometimes we mess around and miss the activity bus. You had to walk all the way home.
oh
And I
yeah,
think like younger me was like, that was the longest walk in the world. I think I do that walk on like my lunch break, like nowadays, and I don't hate
yeah.
it. But I just thought that was the longest walk in the world,
I
like
mean, it's like a 2 mile
1 mile
walk.
or 2 mile. But I do that all the
Yeah.
time. Like, and it was just like I was just complaining to complain. I should have made the bus. It's my fault, or rode my bike.
Yeah, for real. I have some you sent some pictures.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of pictures. My mom has like anything from high school, but
All good.
I just tried to find what I had that maybe had a funny story to it or like a life
Yeah, no.
update now.
Hold up. Hey, before we take a look at these old school Spanaway pictures, did you know I'm also a licensed life insurance broker? That's right. I help folks just like you make sure your family's protected no matter what life throws your way. Look, I know talking about life insurance isn't exactly exciting, but as your Swayside connector who understands our community, I can make the process painless and actually kind of pleasant. Whether you have young kids at home or you're thinking about retirement, I'm licensed across Washington, Arizona, Texas, and Virginia to find you coverage that fits your life and budget. Hit me up after the show because the best time to get life insurance was yesterday. The second best time, today. Let's chat. No pressure, just protection. Let's go. There we go. And you see,
Yeah. So on the left there is my prized signed Richard Sherman picture, and
that's dope.
if you look close enough, I signed it. And then you asked me for like my celebrity pics, and somehow when I was in Kansas City, I saw Dustin Diamond Screech do stand up. That was like my first celebrity run in.
Encounter. Wow.
Yeah, he was just doing stand up, and you could tell because pictures used to have the dumbass date burned into them, ruining the picture.
I think that's, dude, that's nostalgic. That's kind of gangster to actually have that now. Like,
I
that's
know, but
like
it was like that was a weird phase of photography where we thought we needed to have the date and time like burned into every photograph.
June 16th. I wasn't even 21 then, but that's still a dope picture though. And then is this a,
I wasn't even 21 then. I had a fake
oh,
ID. So
nice.
like
And you were stationed
Kansas City. Shouldn't have been
Kansas City.
drinking. Wasn't old enough to be doing it. I had a terrible haircut because I was in the Marines.
No, that's dope. And this dude was in the Marines too with you?
Yeah, he was just some guy that was did the same thing as I did.
Nice.
But yeah, Screech, it was weird. I went to his show, like he did that same show 3 nights in a row, like stand-up comedians do.
Yeah.
And I was such a jerk. I was so young and stupid that I was intentionally ruining his jokes on like night 3.
Oh, dude, you're that guy.
I was just young and stupid.
Yeah. It's
So
funny that you admit it now though, you know.
I know. I always say like older me still has those bad ideas. I just think first and then I don't do anything about it. Like I had the bad idea, I think it's funny, and I don't do it.
Yeah.
I I just keep that one to myself.
It's dope that you grew out of that phase. So it's all good. You know,
Yeah,
it's like I think
me
that's
and
just part of
everybody
growing
else.
up.
Yes, it took me a little bit longer than most people.
Yeah, all good. This is a nice little Cedar Crest picture right here.
This was so like 2009 or 8. I, I tried to do ACN for like a month, and it didn't
Yeah,
go
yeah,
anywhere because I don't like bothering people.
yeah.
It just, but I got to run into old friends like Caleb and Spencer and Eric Wong and Greg and James. Like I had a really good time. Like I went to a couple of the conventions and I just got to catch up with them.
Yeah, no.
I learned a couple things about like a little bit about business. Like I remember it being like an incredible energy, like a room full of people who want to improve themselves. Like and you could feel it. Like it wasn't for me. Like hats off to everyone who stuck with it. And that's the thing, but it was just like I hadn't seen Spencer since junior high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I hadn't seen Caleb since junior high, and I remember like this was in Charlotte.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
We were just having a good time catching up. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention like how to do ACN, but I just thought that was so fun. Like I remember being so excited to see Caleb. Like he's such a cool dude, and oh man, wish
I,
I could see him.
I saw, think I saw Caleb maybe. I ran into him 10 years ago in the San Francisco airport. Random.
Wow.
Yeah. Random. Like I happened to be flying back to Seattle, and I think he was flying back to Texas or somewhere like that. But it was like just super chance encounter in an airport. And it was just like, what the hell? That's so random to like, out of all
Oh
the
yeah.
airports too, San Francisco is like a random airport too. You know what I mean? So
And these pictures feature me with no beard, and my wife thinks that's the weirdest thing in the world because she's only known me to have a beard. So that was like my weird like 20s phase of not growing any facial hair.
do you remember what the year this was?
It's probably like again like 2008. Remember
Okay.
how like in like by the Space Needle we would rent out rooms, and if you like spent so much money at the bar you could have the room for free, and DJ would DJ. I just it was like everyone came to Seattle and we rented this room out, and it was cool because DJ was playing music, and then we just caught up with everybody, and it was like everybody congregating into Seattle to have a good night and then getting back out. I remember it was really fun. Again, no facial hair. There's me in like seventh grade rocking the Jerry Seinfeld hairdo, which I'm glad I got rid of. My one serious picture in the world in boot camp in the Marines.
Dude, that's crazy because like that picture doesn't even, if I were to see that serious picture of you, I don't know if I would think that was even you.
Yeah, part of it was
I think
I,
it's tight though.
I know, but that's a cool moment. A funny thing with the Marines was, so I went right after high school, like no break, just went to boot camp right away. Well, Zach Olson and Corey Jones, they went after, like they took the summer and then they went. So when I was finishing up, they were just starting. And boot camp
Did
is,
you see them?
yeah, boot camp is miserable. Like, but when you're at the end of it, you're like, it's not so bad. I'm almost done. And I remember Zach being like shook. Like I saw him in the cafeteria, and I walked
Yeah.
up to him and I like pretended like I was a drill instructor, and he was just rattled.
Yeah.
Like, and I was being my goofy self, and you could tell he was excited to see me, but he was in shock, and he didn't know if he was allowed to like laugh. He might have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, it's gonna be fine. Like, it'll be over before you know it. It'll suck, but it'll be over. And he was like, okay. And then I remember like him and Corey were in the same like platoon, so they went
Yep.
together.
Yep.
I remember Corey like clearly being in trouble. I'm like not wanting to be there. I remember his body language, like when they were marching, was just, I don't want to do this. Like, and he went on to like have a Marine career. I don't know what he did, but I just remember being like, man, he looks like he's in trouble all the time. But then I
What's
think
funny is,
he took it seriously, and then he did
yeah,
fine.
well, I remember seeing them when they first came back.
Yeah,
And I remember asking him, Ori specifically, I was like, dude, how was it? And he was just like, it was easy. I was like, no way. He was like, yep. He was like, yeah, I just remember him saying that. He was like, dude, it was and I was, not any of the other like
yeah,
mental part, but literally just the physical part.
yeah.
But then,
I would say the same.
Corey was also an athlete. So, like a lot of stuff that might have been tough for most people, I could see him saying that stuff was easy. Because
Yeah,
I don't,
same for me.
yeah,
I
okay,
would say
see, yeah,
if I were to compare myself to anyone in high school, Corey. Like we were like just as fast as each other. We could run
yeah,
just as long as each other.
yeah,
I don't know. Corey's one of those people that I wish I would have spent more time. Corey Jones. I
yep,
wish I
yep,
would have spent more time getting to know
yep, yep.
because we were so similar.
Yeah, athletic wise, like for real, you two were two of the best athletes that I knew, right? Especially
Yeah.
in our class.
And
So,
I remember Corey Jones was like one of the few people who called me out on my shit, and I really appreciated it.
What do you mean?
Like you need to take it more seriously.
Yeah,
And I remember being mad at the time, but then realizing he's right.
yeah,
Like very few people did that. Like
yeah.
you should try harder.
Damn,
And I remember being like, yeah, you're right. Thank you. But not doing anything about it. I really appreciated Corey. And it was funny because like he went to Spanaway Junior, I went to Cedar Crest. And then when we first get to Spanaway Lake, throwback says, all right, you're all going to run for like 30 minutes and you're going to see who can do the most laps in that like 30 minutes over there or 15.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah,
And it was me and
laps
Corey.
around the track. Yep.
And it was me and Corey just lapping each other like everybody else, just talking the whole time. Like, I don't remember what we talked about. Like, so you went to Spanaway Junior, huh? Well, where did you live? Like, but we were just hauling ass, outrunning everybody. It was just so funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I saw Corey like at the reunion, maybe the 10-year,
Nice.
but I haven't seen a lot of people since.
Yeah, I was. I kind of kept in contact with him just because I kept in contact with Zach, and
Yeah.
so just by association, like I also remember going to like I think his wedding too.
Yeah.
It was like in Ballard or something. This is like in the 2000s sometime, and so it was like ish years ago or something like that. And yeah,
Yeah. I
so
saw
I
them
would
at Daniel's wedding too. So that was really, I loved everyone that showed up to Daniel's wedding and got to see a bunch of people I hadn't seen. And
first.
Daniel's wedding, do you remember like the invite said formal? Like, please come to our wedding. Your attire is formal. And my wife, she's from Kirkland. And she was like, it says formal. And I was like, it's not what it sounds like. So she was like trying to get like a gown. Like a gown.
Wow,
You
wow,
hear
yeah,
formal, you think that. And I was like, this is like
span away still.
panelly formal. Like people are
Yeah,
gonna be there with a button-up t-shirt and jeans. Like, don't overthink it. Don't
yeah,
overdress. And she
yeah,
got a really like beautiful skirt and like really nice dress. And I had a suit, so I wore a suit. But yeah, everybody's wearing like jeans and sneakers with a nice shirt. And I was like, this is what I mean. Like, you don't need to dress up.
yes,
I thought that was really funny. That was me explaining like Spanaway formal to her, and she's like, okay.
yeah. I mean, I was kind of in a tux most of the night anyway, but then I think we all were still wearing baseball hats and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely still a casual
Yeah.
all of even if it says formal. So yeah,
Didn't that like didn't they run out of alcohol? I remember
something.
everybody being like, apparently they need to go get more because they didn't account for how much this group of people can consume. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember there was a ton of people in the bar too. So like people were kind of in the bar area. And
Oh,
then
and
this is
there
after.
was another wedding going on too, so we were like going to the other wedding.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was fun. I got super duper drunk during that. So, but
That was the first time I had seen Brian Slater in a very, very long time. When we were in, because it was like the Catholic wedding and we were in the church service, James Jackson and Brian Slater were sitting off to the side. You can, same with them looking at me. We could not look at each other without laughing. You didn't even say nothing. It was just like
span
cracking
away right
up.
there.
Yeah. And like just those two and a couple other people, they just look funny. Like they don't even have to say anything or do anything. You just laugh because like you think of something funny they did. And I was thinking of this today, like you told Terrence like, oh, I was really naive and innocent, and I was like, I remember Heinz telling me some pretty dirty jokes in like seventh grade, and then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I bet James or Tim Armitage told him those jokes, and he's just telling me the
Possibly,
joke
possibly,
that they
for
told them.
sure, for sure. Well, it's because like for me and you, because we live so close to each other, so we caught the same bus to Cedar Crest every day. So that's why it's like a lot of my like old memories involves
Yeah,
you like we're waiting for the bus all seventh grade, eighth grade to take us to Cedar Crest. And then we played, football together. And then, yeah, we have like just a myriad of historic events that
yeah,
intersected.
that's a long time. Like, my wife asked, like, "How long have you known, like, Heinz?" And I'm like, "5th grade." "What about Daniel?" "5th grade." "Rob?" "5th grade." Like,
Yeah,
to have
exactly.
really, really good friends like that for that long, like, not a lot of people have that.
True that.
Like, people
True
they've
that.
stayed in touch with and yeah,
And even though this might be an artificial way to sort of keep in touch with people, I think it just helps kind of like reconnecting just people in general, like even people that maybe I don't even know, but like or that maybe I'm not like tight with. I just feel like it's one of my favorite things that warms my heart is when I hear people just reconnecting with people like that, just kind of like the same way like you laugh when you would look at James and Brian, and it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I know that feeling because it's like if you were to see them out and about anywhere, you couldn't help but laugh. Same thing with like me and you or me and whoever. Like when you see somebody from Spanaway out and about, I don't know, you can't help but just kind of laugh. So,
yeah. And with these
but
podcasts, I love hearing people's story. No,
1000%.
things you would have never asked when we were younger.
Yeah. And
Like, where'd
like,
you live before this? It was just
exactly.
like, "Oh, man, you have an interesting story." Like,
For
"Ralph,
sure.
what an interesting story." Man, I
Yeah.
just you don't think to ask that stuff when you're kids.
I mean, and then,
Generation
well, that's what's dope about this podcast is that, like, even as adults, sometimes those questions aren't really appropriate to ask, too. You know, just half of the subject matter you wouldn't really bring up. Like, I'm like, and people are very generous and very, like, real. It's kind of,
yeah,
it's
honest.
It's weird. Yeah, like they're super honest. I feel like, man, there's like a certain responsibility to everybody. And that's why I try to do my best. And, I still want to have fun, but like for everybody that's willing to share their story, I definitely want them to give them a chance to do that.
Yeah,
Me and Terrence kind of talked about main character syndrome, and I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like everybody should have a main character, should have that, and I feel like this gives everybody from Spanaway, a chance to be the main character in at least this podcast. Like, so when you come on, like, when everybody comes on, now that you're on, Chip, it's like, dude, you're the main character. Like, we're all looking at you now, right? And
yeah,
so I think it's fun that people get to do that, especially if they're not used to doing that. So
I agree. And this is my social media. This I've been off everything for a long time now. You've had people on here that I did not expect to pop up on my YouTube. Like, and it's exciting. Like
thank you.
Chrissy and like Corey and like
Thank you.
Tanitra. It's just so cool. Like,
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't have time to watch them all. I try to have them going when I'm working, and I get back to them because I want to hear how people are doing, and it's such a cool thing. So I'm excited to see who else comes on and shares. Like for me, your comment section is my social media. Just
Awesome.
and like I love when you're like talking and you say like, "Oh, that just triggered a memory." Like you have memories
It's,
of me that I don't remember. I have memories of
it's,
you that you don't remember. I think that's so cool.
it's fun.
Getting to know what people are up to. I was the same with Ralph. Facebook wasn't for me. I didn't like seeing someone I hadn't seen in a long time and knowing everything they've done up until that point.
There's a lot of there. Well, because you could still get information from these podcasts about like kind of what they're doing, what they're up to. There's just
Yeah,
some weird thing. There's like a social dynamic that just as we get older, it turns people, our generation, off for some reason. Not everybody, but to a lot of people. Because even Jay Thomas brought it up in his podcast how
yeah,
he doesn't really like, so there's a lot of people that are that have that very similar feelings towards Facebook.
yeah.
So
Just
it's
you'd have
no,
nothing to
man.
talk about. Like some
Yeah.
people I go like 5 years, they've had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like man, that's exciting. Like
Yeah.
what's new? It's just I love catching up with people, and you can't do that with when you see everyone's lives constantly.
Exactly. But this is different because like even the way you consume it, you don't have to listen to the whole thing all at once. You can listen to it in bits and pieces.
Yeah,
It's on everybody's phone, so you could pick it up and listen to it or not listen to it, at different times. You could watch it on your TV. So I just love this format. So,
it's fun and it's growing, and you're changing it up, and like I love what you're doing. Good job. I'm proud of
thank you.
you. So it's
Thank
very
you.
nice. We could
Yeah.
have like the Swayside breakfast.
Yeah, for sure.
Like next time you're in town, we could all meet up somewhere.
Who's in this picture?
So this is just a random night out. I was at Ozzy's in Queen Anne,
Okay.
by Key or
Yep.
Climate
I
Pump.
used to go there all the time actually.
Yeah, and
From like
I see this.
2010 to 2015. I used to go there tons actually.
Yeah, I love that place. I go there all the time. But this one night, I was there, and I see this guy wearing like a penthouse shirt. He's wearing like board shorts and flip flops. He's really drunk, but I was like, I know that guy from somewhere. Like those teeth, I just recognized that guy. And I thought about it more, and I was like, that's Joey Chestnut, the hot dog eating champion of the world. You know, the guy every 4th of
Yeah,
July eats like 60 dogs.
that's Joey Chestnut.
Yeah. And I was like, that's Joey
Oh,
Chestnut. And everyone else is like, who the hell is that? So I walk up to Joey and I was like, hey, Joey, what's going on? He's like, not much. He was very drunk and he was very nice. And I said, what are you doing up here? And he goes, oh, I was here for a wedding. He was just very gracious and very nice. And I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, sure. Yeah. So I got a picture with them. And then I come back and these girls are like no girls I knew. They're like, yo, who is that? Because they see me get a picture with this guy. And I was
yeah.
like, that's Joey Chestnut. He's the hot dog eating champion of the world. And
Yes.
they're like, oh, okay. So they all like shimmy up to him and they're like talking to him. And I was like, you didn't know who this person was 1 minute ago. And now you want to, they're like,
Social dynamics. That's funny how social dynamics kind of works like that.
but
So
then everybody you could hear everybody be like, that's Joey Chestnut. That's Joey Chestnut. He's taking all these pictures with people. I just tried to find pictures of Ryan Johnson.
that's dope. Yeah.
I stayed in touch with Ryan ever since. Like he was one of my first friends in Spanaway, like you guys, and love him. See him
Yep.
whenever I can. He lives in Wenatchee now, but I used to go to Mexico when he lived down there and see him.
Yeah, he was in Mexico for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, for a long time. So
I want to say like maybe 10 years or something like that.
yeah, long time. So it's good to see
Yeah.
him back. I try to get over his way and have lunch because he's in Wenatchee. This is my wife Miranda on the left. When we first started dating, we went and saw Jim Gaffigan, and because we paid $50, we got to take a picture with him. And
Snap.
you could tell he didn't want anything to do with us or the picture. But it was funny. I was like, oh yeah, there's me with
What year was this?
that. Had been like 2015.
Okay.
This is going down. This is the Puyallup Fair Oktoberfest, where me and many of other friends of mine had very, very drunken nights of we had way too much. But Matt Weathers, Billy Langdon, Tim, and that's our buddy Scott, who went to Franklin Pierce off to the side.
This is a dope pick.
Yeah, those were like that was always like a weird Spanaway Lake reunion when you go to Oktoberfest at Puyallup Fair. And it always seemed to happen that everyone we went to high school with came in after I got really drunk. So if there's anybody that saw me at the Puyallup Fair and I wasn't really put together or I was being obnoxious, I'm very sorry. Brandon Christian is one person I can remember not being all that excited to see me. Casey Curtis, one of those was also like, it was just funny. Like, you just bump into people. Like,
It's crazy.
if you go to Lady Luck in Parkland, that's like a
Yes.
Spencer Lake High School reunion every weekend. Like there's
Yeah.
certain spots where you just randomly see people you went to high school with, and you might not have been in your right mind at the time.
You might have been slightly faded.
I
So
don't know. Maybe they remembered it differently. This was like Russ's first year after the You Mad Bro game. So I got to meet Russ when it was cool, and he wasn't like,
he was on his
yeah,
first contract
yeah.
pre Sierra.
He was like super quiet, and it seemed like he was just as nervous to be there as me. But then Russ got big time and
Yeah,
Russ.
it's a nice picture.
I tried so my wife Miranda again, we got a camper, and that's if you wanna know what I'm doing in my 40s, I'm working, I'm trying to exercise, and we try to go camping a couple times a year.
That's dope. That's a nice little camper there.
Yeah, it's just a bed and a toilet and a table. But, she Miranda doesn't like sleeping in a tent, so we got the smallest trailer that wasn't a tent with a bathroom in it, and I was like, "I appreciate it."
I think I kind of like sleeping in tents, but as you get older, your body does not like sleeping in tents as you get older. So, like,
Yeah, and when you're not drunk, you realize you're sleeping on the ground.
exactly.
So this game, I think this is the Green Bay game. So you remember before that game when we were at the tailgate, I bought like 2 Costco boxes of corn dogs, and
That's right.
I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to put 60 corn dogs in the oven to fill up 60 things of ketchup and mustard, and I wrapped all those corn dogs up and I brought them to tailgate, and then everyone ate some real quick, but we ended up with like 40 more corn dogs when we had to go to the game. So I had like that bag full.
Corn dogs.
Rob Airchar had his cargo pockets stuffed with like these foil wrapped corn dogs that kind of look like dynamite. If you like, so we get to security, and I remember telling Rob, like, what are we gonna do if they say we can't bring him in? And we were like, I don't know. We'll eat some. We'll go back in the line and see if anybody wants one. We got to do something or it's throw them away. So we get to the line, and I remember like trying to bring food into a Hawks game. They would be like, "What's that?" Like you thought you were going to get in trouble.
Yeah, no, they're all good.
I know. And she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's just a bunch of corn dogs." And she was like, oh, "Okay, go ahead." So I had
Yeah,
this like bag of 30 corn dogs. Rob's got like another 10 in his pockets. And we get
yeah,
to the seats, and everyone is so excited. Like
yeah,
I remember handing out corn dogs to like everyone around us and everyone behind us. So everyone had a corn dog, and I remember I turned around and I held mine up like in the air, and
yeah.
everyone looking down at me held their corn dog up. And I remember it was just like the funniest moment. I was like king corn dog, and I was thinking of those corn dogs in like in-game prices, so like $5 each. I had like $1,000.
Yeah, if people don't know, like food is usually okay for both Mariners and Seahawk games. You can bring as much food as you want. It's the
I know.
drinks. They don't
Yeah,
even water. You're not even a closed water. You're really not supposed to bring those in. So they'll make you either throw those out or like you gotta yeah basically throw them out or leave them out by the trash. So like by the trash you'll see like a ton of waters and like sodas that haven't even been opened yet but people can't bring them in. So
I know. And half the time when you did manage to sneak in like a bottle of something, you wish you wouldn't have because you got so drunk that you felt miserable the next day. So it's like, man, I wish they would have confiscated it because then I wouldn't have drank it.
yeah,
A good old friend of ours, Nathan Seifert,
yes sir,
I see him like once a year, and
that's awesome.
I love that guy. A lot of no one, not many people from Spanaway Lake know him because he was a Evergreen and Cedar Crest kid. But I have a really funny story of meeting him and how easy it is to make friends when you're little. So in like sixth grade at Evergreen, do you remember like Wendy started? She was like this really cute girl, or Wendy. Nathan started the same day. So we thought they were brother and sister. So there's the cute, yeah. So there's the cute girl that everyone likes. And then Nathan, and I remember he was wearing like a Raiders jacket or something. So we
Yeah,
all go up to him and we were like, "Yo, is that your sister?" And he's like, "No, we just started on the same day." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Do you like football?" He was like, "Yeah, I like football." And we're like, "Okay, you want to be our friend?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll be your friend." Like, just how easy it was to make friends when you're a kid. Like, have one thing in common. You like video games? Yeah. Okay, we're friends. You like music? Like, yeah, let's be friends. Yeah,
that's tight.
I see him like once a year. We don't see each other enough. Just good dude.
I ran into him at Marymore Park. This is at a reggae concert, and he smoked me out. I could barely walk after seeing him, but yeah, no, it was dope. It was dope seeing it. This is probably like 7, 8 years ago. So yeah,
So Brian Sweeney, love him. Lost him way too early.
yeah.
The guy in the lower left is Chris, one of my old roommates. But Brian just he was one of the original Spanaway friends, like fifth grade on, and Brian did me a solid when I wasn't doing great. I failed out of college around end of 2004, 2005. He gave me a place to live.
Oh wow,
He just he was solid. He took care of me when I needed it the most. Stopped me from living with my parents.
yeah,
Really, really close. Just got a call one day that he had passed away. It just
yeah, damn,
it shook me. Like
yeah,
I could not believe that we had lost one of our friends at 27 years old. Like
yeah.
I just never been through anything like that in my life, and I was rattled. I did. I was so sad but confused and just like, how can this happen? But I
It's
love that.
hella young, man.
I love like I would say Brian was more like I felt way closer to Brian than like my own brothers because I spent
Wow,
so much time with Brian and we looked a lot alike. People would ask if we were brothers and
yeah,
just such like I remember he could sing, like he was very smart, just a wonderful person who would like do anything for anybody. He was so
yeah.
generous and just a wonderful person. Like,
Think about it. I think there was a time I ran into, man, you might have been with him, but I ran into him at the fair, and
yeah,
like
that sounds right.
I came in and maybe you guys were leaving, and then you guys basically gave me all your ride tickets. Not that I even like ride rides or anything, but
I think
I
we
do
gave
kind
you
of.
the because we bought the Dizzy pass.
Yes, I think that's
We're
what.
stupid. So our thing was we're both gonna get Dizzy passes, and whoever taps out, we're gonna ride every ride. Whoever taps out first, you pay for the other one's Dizzy pass. Like we were always making little bets like that.
Dude, and
We
those are
wrote
like people
everything.
making YouTube videos out of challenges like that. So it's like
Yeah,
you guys were doing it and then not even putting it on camera, just doing it for the fun of it. You
yeah.
know what I
So we
mean?
were doing like the extreme scream, the one that puts you up against the wall, like every ride. And we
That's
got
crazy. Yeah.
it ended up being like we had gone on every ride, so we rode like the little kids roller coaster. And I remember the little clamp that came down was so tight. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So I
Yeah.
lost the bet and I had to buy his Dizzy Pass and then hand him off to you. But we were always doing stuff like that, just like the
Yeah.
dumbest bet. Like, I bet you can't like jump over that tree stump. Like it was always just anything like to make each other laugh. And we lost him way too soon.
Way
Just a
too soon.
wonderful person. Anyone that knew him loved him.
I mean, it's also just a reminder, man, nobody knows when, like, we should all really be thankful that we woke up today. So it's like, if you woke up today, you should be thankful just because, man, you just don't know. Anything can happen. So,
Yeah, and just treasure how long you get people. Like I'm very fortunate
yeah,
to still have my parents, you know. Like
yeah,
our friends lost their parents. It's just like appreciate and tell people you love them and see them as often as you can. Call them. Like nobody calls anymore. I'll just shoot you a text for your birthday. I need to be better about. Like
yeah. And that's why I thought it was pretty tight how Tony said in the last episode, just like there's certain people that he calls every year on their birthday, and like you're one of them, and like you're one of the people that calls him on his birthday. And so I just
it's the
think,
only one
dude, you don't
outside
hear
of my
that or not.
parents. Like outside
Yeah,
of my parents. Tony's the only person I call on their birthday, or else you get a
yeah,
text. Like before I jumped off Facebook, I got everyone's birthday and put it on my calendar. So
that's
you'll get a
smart.
random text from me if I saved your birthday. But yeah, Tony, I
Yeah,
call and I know his call's coming, and that's like 20 years straight now.
that's gangster. That's gangster. Yeah, rest in peace, Brian Sweeney, man.
Yeah,
Shout
R.I.P.
outs.
So there's two funny things to this. This is my COVID hair. I'm an honorary Coug because my wife is a diehard Coug, and
Nice.
so that was my COVID hair. The difference with me and everyone, like, I cut my hair and Ralph didn't. Billy did, you know? But that cat, Cricket, I know he's kind of Facebook famous from back in my day. That was Brian Sweeney's cat. So yeah, so when Brian passed away, his sister was like, I asked her, I was like, "Hey, what's up with that cat?" And she was like, "Oh, that was Brian's. He needs a home." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll take him."
Oh, damn.
I ended up having that cat for 17 years until 2 years ago.
Wow. Oh,
So
man.
that cat was always this like extension of Brian that I got to have for another 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was cool. And then when we lost him, it was a little bit harder to lose that cat because he had so much meaning to me. But I always thought that was really cool. Like that was an extension of Brian that I got to enjoy for what,
Dope.
like 15, 16, 17 years. But yeah, my COVID hair. We would do a picture like that every year before football season. I ran a half marathon in March, and it was just
No
like,
way. Just this
yeah,
last March. Last
yeah,
month.
it was just me. My goal was to just run the whole thing because I'd run before, but I'd walked. So I was like, I don't care how slow I run it.
As long as you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna train. I'm gonna run the whole thing. I don't
Dope.
care how slow or fast. And I was
Dope.
just that was at the end of it. I was like, hey, I did it. I trained. I stuck to a schedule. Like I worked at it and I accomplished it. And I hadn't
Hell
had
yeah.
that in a really, really long time. Maybe never, because I don't finish things I start. So that was like the first thing like I started training for that I went through the whole training plan and finished. So that was cool.
That's dope. That's dope. I think people, I don't know how monumental people understand, like when you do something that you're not used to doing
Yeah.
and like how powerful that is, you know? And I think that is, it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, to get that type of feeling, it's hard to get that feeling as you get older. A lot of times we feel like things pass us by, whatever it may be, but
Yeah. And
it's
that was,
like,
of course, it's going to hurt at first. You haven't done this in a long time, you know, like
yeah,
you have to fight through. Funny thing about that run, what got me into running was a friend of ours sent a text saying, "Hey, my 10-year-old kid, he got second place in his like district track meet. He ran a mile in like 7:40." I was like, "Man, that's impressive. I wonder if I can run a mile in 7:40." So then
cannot.
I ran, and I could not. Like I could run
Yeah.
a mile in like 10 minutes, but then I worked and I trained for 3 months, and I ran faster than a little 10-year-old kid in the mile. He'd probably run faster now, but it was just funny. Like that's what got me started.
What were your mile splits for that? 'Cause that's 13 and some change, 13
Yeah,
miles and some change, right?
I
Do you
running
know what your splits were?
like 850s because
Damn, that's still pretty dope. Hell
I know,
yeah.
but that's like you still got it in you. You just need to work on it, and it comes back.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was telling Rob Airchar, like when I first started getting into running, my wife would go to the track, like Lake Washington High School, and we had just watched the Oscar Pistorius like documentary, and that dude had
Yeah.
web legs. He could run the like 200 and like 20 seconds. That's
Yeah.
fine. And I was like, I wonder how fast I can run at 200 like 25 years later. I was like, I should try. I quickly learned like I don't got it. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But then I was like, maybe it's not a good idea to just go sprint,
It
like
is not. It
because
is not a
I am
good idea.
going to rip something up, and I'm gonna like no more doing that. So I told
That's how
Rob,
I got.
I know. I told Rob I was like, I ran a 200 yesterday to see if I still got it. I don't. And I'm
You
gonna
have to work your way up to it. You have to like start with smaller. It's a whole process now that we're older. Cause I've actually watched videos. There's videos on YouTube that like show you your progression on how you should train to do full out sprints like that. And because like, I think you brought it up too, like playing softball and stuff like that. Like every time I've tried to play softball and it's literally just running the bases, I would hurt myself because it's like you're not in like I can't hold it back. Like when I feel like because I used to love sprinting, but like when I'm and even at my big old weight now, I would still try to like dig in and really hit those corners hard. Dude, I'm like, what are you doing? You're not getting paid to do this. Your muscles have not run like this in 10 plus years. You're crazy to try to, and my body would remind me. It would humble me quickly, and it'd just be like, dude, I can't play for like 3 weeks. And so I would basically not even play like basically half the year because
Yeah, can I get my
I'd be
money back?
limping around. Exactly.
That kind of reminded me. So when I was in 10th grade, um, running track, that was the Juwan Hooker year.
But yeah,
So like he went to UW. He's like one of the fastest dudes ever. Like dude had never lost a race until college.
yeah,
I remember. I think I read something about because he was like on Olympic qualifying teams for like sprints.
yeah,
He said, "You know you're running fast when you start to hear the wind go by." Like that's how fast. Like you're starting to like create drag. And I remember
yeah,
thinking, I never heard that, so I must not have been that fast. But he was crazy. He was running like 10 threes and the 100 in height. Like just watching it, I remember it was like an aura.
What was your fastest 100?
I think like a
Even if
10.
it was a split during a 4x1.
I think like a 10-9. Like, but it's just, I remember, and this happened in college when I did the 1 year of football. When you're fast and then you get around people who are faster, it just
Yeah,
it rattles you. And so like
yeah,
running against him, like it was everyone competing for second place. And then in college,
yeah.
everyone's fast on the football team. Like even in Division 2, like
What
I
what
remember
college were you at?
Missouri Western State University, the Griffins, because I was
Nice.
when I was in the Marines, I got stationed in Kansas City, and then when I got out, I went to Missouri Western. And then I quickly found out that I didn't like school again, and I came out. And then like got my job. But I just remember being like, man, everyone's fast, and this is just Division 2 football, and
Yeah,
not even that big of a school. Like I can't
yeah,
imagine what Division 1.
exactly.
Like I was like the level of competition here
It's
is insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was just it's like, I'm not as fast as I think I am. There's a lot of people fast. It was just, oh well, I tried.
yeah. No,
And
that's
it's
and then
cool. In the
that's
Marines,
better than half the people out there,
yeah.
So
My goal, like when I was in the Marines, I'm like, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna go play football, and I did, and I checked that box, and then
yeah.
came back home. So yeah, like
I wish that's a box I wish I checked off. Like I wish I tried, you know.
yeah, it
So
was
it's
weird
like,
getting to college as like a 23-year-old, and I remember like they're like, oh, a non-traditional student is someone who starts college like years, and I was like, oh.
yeah,
So, but it was a cool experience. Got to meet some really good friends. Didn't really take school seriously again, and then realized I was just living in Kansas City, not going to school, and I was like, I gotta go home. So then I packed up all my stuff and I drove to Spanaway, and Brian Sweeney gave me a place to stay, and then I reconnected with everybody, and then
I've been
got
back ever since. Pretty much. You haven't left Washington since, or did you
no.
have it? Okay.
So I moved. So this is a funny story. My wife tells it all the time. When I moved back from college, that first year, 2005, I had seven W-2s. I was just burning through jobs.
Whoa.
It was like stupid, like pizza delivery, selling water. I worked at Honey Bucket. Like I just needed a job. And if it sucked,
Yeah.
I quit. So I was just
Yeah.
like, I need money to come in. So my goal towards the end of 2005, and I was like, I'm going to have one W-2 next year. 25 years old. That's not that impressive of a goal.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job at Microsoft because I had the IT experience in the Marines. And
Nice.
I kept that one job through the whole year, and I had the one W-2. It's like I did it, but like yeah, like that job brought me up to Kirkland. When I first got the job in Redmond, I was living in like deep South Spanaway, like way down Highway 7 with Brian. My commute to work was 2.5 hours.
5 days a week.
Well, I do it like a couple times a week
Okay.
because Ryan Johnson lived in downtown Kirkland with some other friends of ours, and they would let me sleep on their couch, which was just awesome because I didn't
Yeah.
have to do that drive. But yeah, it was like 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. But I was like, I need this job. This is a real job, and I need to keep it. I need the money.
Yeah.
So I stuck with it, and then just that became like my IT career. That is what it is now. Like I've always just been like data center engineer, and then like a server engineer now. But it was funny, like I was telling Jeff Abbott when I first got that job, I was like, man, my commute sucks. I have to drive 2.5 hours each way to get to Microsoft. And he was like, well, hey, I'm moving to Mukilteo. It's only 15 minutes from Microsoft, and I need a roommate." And I was like, "Okay." Well, it turns out that if you're driving 100 miles an hour with no traffic from Mukilteo, then maybe one time once you'll get there in 15 minutes.
I was gonna say
Yeah. So that traffic from
it's
Mukilteo,
still better than 2.5 hours though.
that's true, but it was still terrible traffic. Like
Yeah.
what how he sold it to me was not how it went.
Yeah.
I
Oh
got to
yeah.
live
Yeah.
with I got to live with Jeff. I think that was crazy because it was like a 2-month lease, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, and all I had to my name was like a bed and a rice cooker.
Yeah.
Like that's all I had. And I had my like work laptop and I had a copy of The Big Lebowski that I borrowed from like Billy. And I would watch that movie on the way to work and I watch it on the way home from work. And when I got home, I watched it at home because I had nothing else. Like I had no other movies, like, nothing else to do.
Wow.
It was just like you don't understand like how that things aren't great. You just know you need to do it and like continue and continue and continue. And for someone like me who was very used to like quitting when things got hard, it
Yeah.
was really hard to like, work
No,
that
that's dope.
job because I knew I needed to stick with it and it led to like fantastic things. But that's what brought me up to Kirkland and I've lived in Kirkland or like around Seattle ever since. Like I lived right by you in Green Lake and then lived in like West Seattle for a little bit. Like I wanted to live in different pockets of Seattle just to experience them. Like I lived in Greenwood, West Seattle, you
Yeah. How
know.
long were you in Greenwood? Because man, I lived in Greenwood for like 15 years ish.
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
So when
Something
I
like
lived
that.
by you, that was only like 8 months.
Damn, less than that. Oh, snap.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't there long, but then I moved right by Green Lake, like right by Duke's, because I wanted to be on the lake.
Oh, yeah.
So I rented some tiny apartment under a house, and it was like I think the ceiling was shorter than I was. So I was like in this like mother-in-law apartment that I was rubbing my head on the ceiling, and it
Wow.
had this
Yeah.
like little sink. Like the location was cool, the place was terrible, and then lived in West Seattle for like a few months, and then I moved to Greenwood for like another year, like down
Yeah.
like right on 85th above like Barnoff and those bars. But then met my soon to be my eventual wife Miranda. We started dating, and then Kirkland ever since.
Just real quick, I've asked this to like other guests. And like, since you were in the military during that time, dude, where were you at during 9/11? And what was that like for you being in the military during that time?
I was in Kansas City, and I was like in the Marines. I had a computer job, so it was like a regular job. Like I just go into this, and it was a federal compound. Like it was yeah, it was like IRS was there. Like it was a federal like compound. So I'm driving into work, and I hear on the radio like a plane flew into the World Trade Center, and I remember there had been some like Yankees pitcher, like old Yankees pitcher that had flown his plane into a building in New York.
Yeah.
Like it was a total accident, and I remember like someone flew another plane into a bit. Like, how does this keep happening?
Yeah.
I didn't understand because I just turned on the radio of like what had just happened. But when I got to work, it was just chaos. Like they were treating that building because it was the IRS and like Honeywell and like
Yeah.
the pay system for all of the military. They sent everyone home except the military personnel. So we're just in this building. We're computer nerds. We're like, why are we still here? And they're like, well, in case anything happens, we're like, we don't have like weapons or anything.
Yeah.
If they're going to bomb the place, we're just sitting in it. So then
Yeah.
eventually, because it was just chaos, I remember that was like the first time the internet didn't work.
Whoa.
So many people were using the phone and the internet, you couldn't even go to a website. So like no one was getting any information because everyone's trying to like
Yeah.
go look at the internet and see what happened.
Massive panic. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was after like half a day, they were like, "Okay, we'll just go home and be ready." And we're like, "Okay." And I remember people just asking me like, "What's going to happen?" I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just and then the Matt like realizing what happened later because you finally get home and you can watch a TV, and it's just the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So just wild. But yeah, being in the military in a federal, but like hearing someone say like this area might be a target, like that's terrifying. You know,
Yeah.
has anyone ever
Yeah.
asked you where you were?
I don't know. I remember I was driving from Lakewood. I was in Lakewood that morning and I was driving to Shoreline. from Lakewood. So that's like, and I think my job started at 7 a.m. and I was running late that day. I was working at Carter Subaru in Shoreline.
Wow.
I was like a valet slash porter, right? So I used to like wash the cars. It was like my college job. And I was running late. And I remember right when I get there, one of my coworkers was like, "Hey, we're getting bombed." And I was like, "I'll change real quick." And because we had to wear like basically a mechanic's uniform. And he was like, "No, you don't get it. We're being attacked." And I was
Busy.
like, yeah, I thought he meant we were busy because we usually are busy in the mornings. So, and I was like, 10, 15 minutes running late. And then when I saw everybody crowded around and, it was one of those older TVs and, it was just confusing, right? I think the first thing is just how confusing like the scenes are. And it's like, what are we watching? Like, I don't get it. And so, and then I just thought, like, man, are they just gonna let us just go home? I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, not that we were in danger or anything. We're just a random car dealership but I still felt like anybody close to any of these cities, like, and if you're close to any big city, you could possibly be in danger. So I remember thinking like, I mean, we're not that far from Seattle. So it's not like I felt like I would have felt safer if we were in Spanaway, something like that. I just felt like being close to Seattle was one of those things where it was just like, I don't know. I just didn't want to this is one of those things too. I just didn't really want to be at work that day either.
It's just
And
chaotic for everyone everywhere.
for sure.
I don't know if we'll ever go through something like that again in our
Yeah,
life.
it's and, and we're just so young too, and it's like such a crazy random time in most of our lives during that day. And so it's funny how like that specific day, everybody has a memory of what or where they were, what happened, just because it's like it's so out of the norm kind of piece of history that's partly why I kind of like asking about it, just because everybody has a story or like at least a memory from, how they heard. And it ranges, right? It's from like people still sleeping to being very nonchalant to like, barely kind of understanding what's going on to like full on, like, people knowing like they're in crazy panic or whatever. So,
Yeah. And us all still being young, it was like one of the first adult like tragedies we all experienced.
yes, for sure, for sure. Before we dock the boats here, is there any other last stories that you have before I ask these last few questions?
I will say nobody I knew appreciated getting free food than you. I remember like no
Shout
cell
out to
phone.
Mickey D's. Shout out to Spanaway Mickey D's right there.
Yeah, like hearing about like Helga Harris and Randy and like Tom and like all of our friends that work there. Like before cell phones, I would tell you like you. I think you would just ask you like, "Hey, can I get some free food?" And I was like, "Yeah." Well, just when it's really busy on like Saturday at 5 o'clock, just come in and there'll be like two big bags of food off to the side. And I was tall enough when I was working on the grill that I could
You
see
could
everybody.
see. Yeah,
And I remember you walking in and being like, I was like, yeah. And I remember you grabbed the food, and your eyes were like super big. And you grabbed both bags, and then you just walked out. I remember you, you were so happy, and I remember it made me so happy that you were so happy like, that I got to do something nice for you, and you absolutely appreciated it. And I think you
for
were
sure.
going all over the fast food joints, all over Parkland. And if you ever had beef with somebody, it was probably because they didn't hook you up. But that
Man,
was a fun job. So, like,
that's
McDonald's
awesome.
McDonald's, I quit one time because someone dared me that I wouldn't. Like, it was weird, like,
Wow.
I remember some guy who wasn't in school, it was just his real job. He was, like,
Wow.
tired of me complaining, and I was like, "Well, I could just quit anytime, like, I don't care. This is just like."
Was that your first job?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
So,
remember interviewing for McDonald's and telling Tom's mom, she was like, "Do you have any previous work experience?" And I said, "Well, I babysat the neighbor's kids." That was
yeah.
the only work experience I had. But then, so the guy like said, he didn't bet me, he just dared me. He's like, "You won't quit." And I took my little punch card, I clocked out, and I quit McDonald's because someone dared me to do it. I ended up getting a job at Country Rose washing dishes with Ryan Johnson, Carl Long, Brian Sweeney, and like a few other of our friends. And that job was so miserable that I quit
Wow.
McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had to like beg Tom's mom to like hire me back. And she was like, okay, cool. And then I worked that job until I went to the Marines. But I always wish like, I wish I would have like worked at Papa Murphy's because they all had fun. Like, I didn't have fun at
Dude.
McDonald's. It was miserable in there. Like, or I wish I would have like worked at Safeway, like did something that my mom just was like, you need to go get a job working fast food. And I was like, whatever. But
For
I think
sure.
about it like I worked to pay for my car insurance and to pay for my gas to get to work. I didn't have a car. So I was like, I'm working just to be able to get to work. And I
Yeah.
think of it like, I've never really cared to work. I know you got to do it, but
Yeah.
I think of it like that's 3 years of my life that I could have not worked because
Yeah.
like I wasn't making enough money to buy anything,
Yeah.
but it was just like, oh well, I got to like have fun at McDonald's. Like I remember working with Randy and we just goof off all the time. I remember I could fit like 50 nuggets in a 20-piece box.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I think James Elsie came through and he ordered a 20-piece and when I handed it to him, he like it hit the counter and he just goes, "Thank you." Like he knew what I had done and it was
Yeah.
so funny. He was just like, "Thank you."
For sure. Whenever you hear the term span away, what does that make you think of or make you feel?
I don't care where I live for the rest of my life. I'm from Spanaway. Like, and I thought about it. Like, I lived in Kirkland more than half my life,
Longer. Yeah.
but I'm from Spanaway. I don't know. Like the earlier years when Spanaway was on cops all the time, like it had a bad reputation. You know,
Yeah.
you say you're from Spanaway, and people are like, "Oh." But no, that's just home to me. My parents are still there. I'm down there once a month at least. I'm very proud of it. It's a cool spot. Like everyone's saying, you just meet and make so many different types of friends of like people. Like all these military kids, like we got to experience something that a lot of people don't, you know, like
Yeah.
so many different cultures, so many different ethnicities. Like, and I think we had all, for the most part, like a lot of it is military kids, like all those schools around there.
Yeah.
So you're like used to moving every couple of years. You're used to making new friends. I know Spanaway's cool. Like I love going back down. It's crazy how much it's grown. We graduated. There's a few friends that still live down there. We go see Weathers. Need to make it down there because this weekend is Matt Weathers' birthday and then Brian Sweeney's birthday. So Brian's buried at Furlane, and every year I go there on his birthday to just kind of say hi and then I clean up.
That's what's up.
So I
That's
enjoy
what's
it.
up.
It's just like my mom does that for her loved ones, and I think that's just a cool thing. Like there's a place to visit, and you can just kind of like clean up the grass a little bit, or take
Yeah.
out like some cleaner and just kind of clean up the headstone and just say hi. It's
That's
just my
dope.
way of visiting and grieving.
For sure.
But then it's like, well, I'm down here and it's Matt's birthday, so then I go sit at his house for like an hour and talk to him, and then I go to my parents and I come back home.
That's that sounds like a dope round trip visit. You know,
Yeah,
you
and
kind of
he's
get
like
to
to this day like the only one I've lost, like the only person
wow.
like I was personally close with that I've lost. And I know like it's coming for everybody and I treasure
Yeah.
every moment I have with my parents and my
Yeah.
family and friends, but um it's just like he's the only one I know. And he was so young, 27 years old.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't even figured myself out by then and
Yeah.
that he was taken away that early.
But it's crazy how many people that we know that we went to school with that are not here with us anymore, right?
I
So,
didn't know about Johnny Johnson. I knew about
yeah,
Steve Getz, like, and a few others, but, like,
yeah.
people that I was in, like, very, very,
James
very close.
Elzey, you just brought up James Elzey. That's another one. It's just like, dude,
I didn't know that. I have a very funny James Ellsey story. So you remember at the Hawks games how Rob Ershar would boo 49ers fans like relentlessly, like would not let up. And it was funny and it almost started like fights a lot. So Brian Sweeney and I are in the standing squares at the Hawks
oh,
game
yep,
at the second level. And we see this guy in a like 49ers jersey walking by us and we are booing him hard and
yeah,
just looking at us like confused. And then I realize it's James Elsey because he's a Niners fan. So then we're hugging and catching up. And
yeah.
then Rob just happens to be walking by and he sees us hugging a 49ers fan. And
No
he
way.
like starts to get heated. And it was just so funny. And then we're like, it's James Elsey. And then he gets really excited and we all start hugging and catching up. But that sequence was just so funny.
That it all boom, 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 boom,
Yeah, it was just like,
been in succession like that.
sorry for giving you such a hard time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Didn't know that. I have some funny stories about like Hoseth.
Yeah,
Like it's cool to hear his story because you don't realize when you're young that your teachers and coaches, they have lives too.
Yes.
That's their job that they need to do,
Yes.
like, make money to pay their bill, but I didn't know all the personal stuff, like, I didn't know he'd gotten engaged, and I thought the story
He had
about
just gotten married.
yeah, but, like, I didn't know that like, him telling Coach Williams, like, "I'm getting engaged," 'cause he was, like, the first
But yeah.
person. So, I thought Eric Williams was cool because he ended up being the beat writer for the Seahawks, so when you'd
Yeah.
go
He was your
to
position coach.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was super cool, and then, like, when I go to Seahawks practices, I'd be like, "Hey, Eric," and he'd see me, and he'd come over. Like, I just thought it was like, I'm kinda famous, I know the Seahawks
Yeah.
Hosa, because he wasn't that much older than us, and he'll probably remember this. We would quote a lot of, like, movies together, and, one of them was, like, The Jerk with Steve Martin. Like, we would just be quoting it back and forth, and,
Hey,
like
he had the VHS. He had the VHS. That was one of his presents.
I know,
His
and it was
wedding
like
presents.
but it was like it was fun because here's this coach that isn't taking it seriously with me, and we're joking, and you remember Coach Thiessen?
Yep. O-line.
He was also like that. I think I don't know, because I liked a lot of the movies they liked, we kinda bonded, and so I remember, like, Hoseth and I were always just quoting The Jerk, it was hilarious, and we crack up, and then it was like, "Okay, it's time to be serious," and we, like, practice. But Coach Thiessen for football, he taught me this Elton John Kiki D, like, bit of, like, "Don't go breaking my heart," and then he'd tell me that part, and then he'd do, like, the Elton John part, and I'd do, like, the so I thought that was really funny. We'd sing the song together, and I remember, like, in a game, in a football game, when it's really tense and, like, we're on defense, so I'm, like, on the sideline, I was standing next to him, and I just start doing the bit, and I'm like, "Don't go breaking my heart," and he just yells at me, he was like, "Not now!" Like, what? And I just remember I was like, "Oh, hey, sorry, man." He was like, "This is what your problem is. You're never serious." And I was like, "My bad." It was just like that was like the epitome of like my high school like sports was me never taking it seriously ever. And like your story of me, the couple times where I locked in and took it seriously, was
Yeah.
like, imagine if I had done that all the time. But there was just too many moments of me goofing off and the coaches just losing their mind because they were like, "You never take it seriously."
You could have been dangerous if you did. 'Cause I don't know. I hope there's a couple other people that I hope if they get a chance, I really want to give them their flowers of just how crazy of an athlete you were.
Yeah,
Like, cause you were special. Like, and like, you probably see it now, but even just that, your time as a sophomore, running with on the 4x1 team with nothing but seniors kind of just shows just like, dude, you're dope. So, and
there
I
was some
think
cool
if you,
moments of like, I just remember everyone else being like in shock. Of just like, I do something and then everyone else would be like, "I can't believe you just did that." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, it was just like I was oblivious. I was like super naive. And I just
I
like,
think if you just needed to find the sweet spot, like I think it's okay to just like, goof around and just be a kid because you're still a kid during this whole time. But I feel like if you could have found ways to really lock it in to be serious when we needed you to be serious, I think you could have done damage in any of the sports that you did, and that includes
yeah,
track, that includes football, that includes everything. So
I had like
and
a
I think
weird,
that's what frustrates coaches is that like they
yeah.
see like how dope of an athlete you are, and then they're just like, damn, why are you
And even my friends being like, I remember people saying like, "I wish I was as fast as you," and I was like, "Okay." But I had like a weird lack of confidence. I don't know why. It just like a lack of confidence, a lack of drive. And I think I realized early on, like, what's this leading to? Like, I never had a plan.
Mm,
Like, I wasn't trying to get into college.
hmm.
I wasn't trying to do anything more. I was just enjoying playing the sport and like hanging out with my friends. Had I had
Yeah.
like a plan,
Yeah.
like Nalder said that he's like, I wish I would have had a plan. I just went to college, and then when I got there, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have a
And
plan. I
like,
still don't have a plan. 25 years later, I'm not really passionate about anything. I always think I'll find my passion later in life, like volunteerism or do something, but that's just never been my thing. I've always been super chill, always got along with everybody. I like just having fun and being honest and open. That's always been my thing. It's like a good personality trait that I don't get stressed out. Like I don't I don't take anything too seriously. It really helps me out in my career and like later in life.
Yeah.
Like, you know me, we staying in touch. You
Yep.
ever seem mad about anything?
Never, never. And that is no, I will say that that helps. I feel like that's good for overall health is not stressing yourself out like that because I'm a big fan of that.
I understand life's going to throw stress at you, but you don't need to add to it. And I just try to keep it at a minimum.
I think that's something you can still learn about. And I just think like I said, it kind of goes back to that quote saying like, I think at first, sometimes we just need to conquer ourselves before we can try to go out and conquer the world. And so I think that, like, I think once you kind of like understand and like know yourself more, you will eventually know what you are passionate about. And
Yeah.
so,
And I had there's a time in my life where like I wasn't happy with myself. Like, and I realized you're not going to be happy with someone else until you're happy with yourself. And there was like this kind of shift I had in my mid 30s of just started focusing on myself. And it was amazing what happened at that time of my life when I had that shift of like I was just focusing on me and I found like my own happiness and then I could go be happy with someone else. Like it was just and a lot of people probably go through this. You just kind of the same thing like it's just saying it differently. Like once you figured yourself out, then you can go.
what made you figure yourself out? Like what was the spark or the epiphany?
There were a lot of things that I was saying no to that I started saying yes to. Like, and I stopped making excuses of like, I need to go do this. It's just like a weird year, like a summer of, I was like, I want to learn how to scuba dive. So I did that. Like, I need to go visit Ryan in Mexico. So I did that. It was just like everything that I kept putting off, I prioritized.
Oh,
Um, I moved to Green Lake. It was just like, stop saying you're going to do it someday and do it. And I started checking those things off. And
that's dope.
it was like a big weight lifted. And I found like my own happiness. It was just,
That's dope.
and that's around the time when I stopped partying so hard. And that's around the time like, I don't need to go to every Seahawks game. I'd go to one.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
just like, I started to figure, like, things started to click. And then met my soon to be wife and just life just like got better. It was just a cool
That's dope.
moment in my life to figure myself out. And
That's dope.
people that'll happen for people at different times, but that was a big shift for me. And like my happiness has just gone up and up and up since then.
That's dope. That's
And
dope.
I will say from like high school up until that point, I was kind of just spinning my wheels. Like I had no plan. I was just working to pay some bill. I it would have been cool to have a plan, and I didn't. And I don't know what could have changed because I remember like your parents are suggesting things and like guidance counselors. I remember talking to them. They're like, "What do you want to do for work?" I was like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have no plan." The Marines the military was an easy button. Like it was a very cool experience, and I'll benefit for the rest of my life for being in the military and the Marines.
For sure.
It gave me something to do. It gave me the computer job that carried me through to now and will carry me on eventually when I retire. And just figure yourself out before you try and go.
For the world.
Yeah. So that was a big thing for me. That's a very like big moment in my life of figuring that out. Just you know what will make you happy. Most people do, and being able to like start doing those things or stop doing those things that are preventing you from being happy.
I think no, I think it actually starts there. A lot of people don't know what will make them happy. Like ultimately, I think a lot of people are asked the question, what do you want to do? And a lot of people are like, I don't know. I think that is actually the common answer.
Yeah.
And so I think actually what a lot of people, because we just don't have time, we don't have focus, we don't have, whatever it's called. But a lot of people just don't know themselves that well. And so in order to do that, it takes time, self reflection. I don't know. Everybody has their own formula to kind of figure out themselves. But like, I think once you get down to brass tacks and kind of understand yourself, then everything can change. Cause then now at least you have kind of like how you're saying you wish you had a plan. Like most people just don't know. Like I was lost like that too. Like just didn't know. And like, shoot, even today, maybe don't know clearly, but every time I make videos, every time I'm doing these podcasts, like every time I read a different book, like every time I'm getting all these different inputs of just like whatever it is, the path gets clearer. And it's not like it's
You're working
I don't.
towards it.
Yes,
You're improving yourself.
yes. And then from there, I'm able to actually see a plan like form kind of in front of me. And then it's like, okay, I need to just keep kind of heading in that direction. So that's basically this podcast, this YouTube channel, like all the little random things I'm doing, the newsletter. It's like, okay, I'm just trying all these like things out, and then I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. And then like a plan starts to like come clearer and clearer each time I do one of these things.
Yeah, it's cool to see you grow.
Man, thank you. Yeah, I
How many
appreciate it.
videos is this now? Like 12?
This you are 21. As far as podcasts go, you're 21. I have
Oh, what
uh,
about Swayside?
yeah, that's what I meant. Your 21st Swayside podcast.
I can't
Yeah.
believe how quick you put them out. Like, I don't even have enough time to watch them all.
All right. If you could go back to 1998 and talk to yourself and have a conversation with yourself, what would that conversation look like?
I would say you don't need to take everything seriously, but take a few things seriously. Have a little bit of a plan because I was just winging it from
Yeah.
high school until like my mid 30s. Like
Yeah.
I had no plan. And I don't know what that plan would have been, but I was just aimless and maybe like sit down or like I always think of my parents, like, my parents weren't strict, they just said no a lot. You know, like, other than that,
Yeah.
fantastic parents, like, provided just great. They just said no. And I always thought my parents were strict, and then you hear stories of other people's parents, like, my parents weren't that strict. Maybe have like more communication with my parents, like tell them I'm struggling to sleep. Tell
Mm,
them like maybe I need to go see like a doctor about like sleep. Like I just there was no like two-way communication with my parents. It was just one way.
yeah.
It would have been nice if I was upfront and honest with them, but I was just avoiding everything in general. Like, I could have been like, "I'm not sleeping well, that's why I'm not doing well in school," but there was none of that, and that's no one's fault. It's just I
You
could have
don't know what you don't know.
yeah, and I could have asked the school for help, or I could have I was just in my own world, like, not wanting to be in that one. It was weird. That'll be, like, my think about it for the rest of my life. I should have done something different. Like I don't regret. Fantastic, like a great time and made so many friends and lifelong like friendships. I wish I would have had a little bit of plan or asked for help. Like talk to somebody about
For sure.
it. Yeah.
That's dope, man. Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. In two things, in like this is the shortest notice I've ever had somebody jump on the podcast. I literally asked Chip today, "Can you jump on the podcast?" And he jumped on the podcast today. And he's also the first person to come on the podcast that has more subscribers than I do. Thank you for
It's
jumping
because
on.
I put a clip of a video from a movie that got like 400,000 watches, and those people thought I should subscribe to this idiot's channel because he posted a video one time. So you'll
Hey,
pass, you'll get there real fast.
thank you. I hope I do. It's been fun so far, and man, I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will catch you guys all in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.